I don't need it. I don't need it. I definitely don't need it. I 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 need it!
Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you may be. My name's Chris, and this video is about quitting marijuana through secular means. So if you're not interested in quitting marijuana or you're very religious, this video doesn't pertain to you. The reason that I've decided to quit marijuana was because I've been recently diagnosed with hypokalemia induced by cannabis. At first, I thought that I had CHS, cannabis hyperemesis syndrome, which has been appearing a lot in the media and the news, which is basically um, it's an illness caused by marijuana, which makes the person vomit until they die. There's another nickname for it. It's called scromiting, and the the one of the ways that I found out that I had hypokalemia was because I was in quarantine for about 3 years, and for 3 years straight, all I did was smoke marijuana. In December 5th of 2022, I had my first ever panic attack, which I thought it was a heart attack. It was something I had never experienced before, and I confused it for a heart attack. When I started doing a lot of research on Google, it was very misleading, and CHS kept coming up a lot. After a couple of visits to the emergency room, and 2 years later, I come to discover, and I was diagnosed with hypokalemia. Hypokalemia is a deficiency in potassium. Potassium is what powers the heart. Without potassium, your heart can fail, or you may have a stroke. Uh, you could either go into your heart, your organs may fail, or you may have a stroke, or it can be fatal. So I'm going to go ahead and explain some of the symptoms of hypokalemia. Hypokalemia causes a drop in body temperature. You just become completely cold, even though you may be in front of a heater or wearing a sweater, or you know your body temperature just becomes completely uncontrollable. Other symptoms are chest pain, heart palpitations. Sometimes it feels like your heart's just gonna stop. You feel dizzy. uh, I don't know if any of you can relate to any of this. um, I was very much in the dark. I was very confused. I didn't know anything about it. At first, they weren't giving me that much information in the hospital that I was going to, but lately the hospital that I've been going to has changed a lot, and recently they let me know a lot about hypokalemia. Now, some of you may be hesitant to quit because of like social pressure, or you're worried about what others may think of you. You shouldn't worry too much about people's personal thoughts, because it's very likely that 10 years from now you probably won't even know that person anyways. Another thing too is I'm it's very strange, because when I had my first panic attack, I'm not sure if the marijuana triggered the panic attack, or if the symptoms of hypokalemia may have played a factor into it. So I don't know which came first, but when I was at the ER, they wanted to prescribe to me anxiety medication, and I rejected it. I decided to use meditation instead, and I don't know a whole lot about meditation. Now, another thing too, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not I'm not one to give you advice. But if you're feeling any of those symptoms, it may be that the marijuana is causing it. It's just very hard to tell. The only way you can tell is with a blood test. That's how you know for sure. But if you're just not enjoying marijuana anymore, like it's not making you happy, it's not making you high, maybe it's time to quit. Another thing too is that this isn't my first attempt at quitting. It's, I've tried quitting. This is my third time now. The very first time that I tried quitting marijuana, I tried the 12-step program. And I joined Marijuana Anonymous. And now I don't have the 12 steps memorized, but I know one of them is like making amends with people in your past, community service. Another one is accepting a higher power. So if you're an atheist like me, that's gonna be pretty hard to get around. I mean, it's kind of been established after the Age of Enlightenment that there is no God. And now I can talk all day about this subject. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I gave you a heads up, a warning that this is a non-religious video. So like I was saying, my first attempt at quitting was religion. And I don't know if you guys are a fan of The Simpsons, but Lisa Simpson says that prayer is the last refuge of the scoundrel. And there's also that old saying that there are no atheists in foxholes. Basically, it's like a saying that means that whenever a person is in absolute fear, that they will turn to God and, bow down before their imaginary friend in order to get saved. I mean, whether that's true or not doesn't really prove that God exists. I mean, if a person is in complete fear for their lives, and I don't know, or they start believing in God, that doesn't make them any more real. But the first time that I tried quitting was through religion, and I've been an atheist since I was 13 years old, and I started going back to church. I even got baptized. I started going to Bible study. I was reading comic book adaptations of, the book of Exodus and the Sermon on the Mountain and, all the stories, all the mythology that comes along with Christianity. And it didn't work. It failed miserably. I mean, it wasn't a total waste because I did manage to go 6 months the very first time. Faith is not the pathway to truth. So I'm, like I said, if you're not very religious, maybe the 12-step program isn't for you. I mean, the 12-step program isn't always guaranteed to work, and I don't know if this is true. I'm just throwing this out there, but I've heard that the majority of people who join AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, Alcoholics Anonymous, or any program that's started by the church, they usually end up dying. But like I was saying, so the second time that I tried quitting through secular means, watching videos, watching a lot of I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Dr. Frank. I mean, he's good. I like Dr. Frank. I'm not, I'm not shitting on Dr. Frank. It's just, it's very hard to quit with videos. And here I am making videos trying to help you get quit. I want to say that this third time, what really motivated me was death. I had a near-death experience. I find a little humor in that. Some people take death very seriously. I feel like it's natural and it's part of life, and it's just something that we're going to have to own up to one day. I'm sorry, guys. Nothing lasts forever, and eventually we're going to die. And, I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't already know. I understand. Another thing, too, if you're right now quitting, you're probably on day one or on the first hour, your body's probably in total shock, and you probably don't want to hear any of this. But I'm sorry, it's just the truth. And this third time that I've tried to quit, I think I'm like 16 days sober. I'm not really too sure how long I've tried quitting. I have an app that it's like a tool. It tells you exactly how much time. It's called Grounded, if you guys are interested. And it's got a funny, an animation, like an analogy of an acorn sprouting a tree, and the tree is supposed to represent like your new life. If you're interested in tracking your progress, you guys want to hold yourselves accountable, I recommend the app. And the app works well. And not only that, the app is interesting because the app tells you how much money you've saved after you've quit smoking. Although you may feel like you're not saving any money, in reality, the money that was once going to pot, to the cannabis, is now being invested in other things. Uh, I mean, I don't know what it is you got going on. And I mean, whatever type of investment you're making, I'm pretty sure it's a lot more positive than investing in marijuana, something that is slowly killing you. Another thing, too, um, you may not be feeling any symptoms at all. You may be just wanting to quit for personal reasons. Sometimes it's too late. There's people who can go their entire lives smoking. They can be 60, 70 years old, and at the last minute, it catches up with them. I know because I had a friend who was a smoker for many years since he was very young, and he had a lot of complications, and he recently passed away. Even though he had quit already at the age of 44, he didn't have a high quality of life. I'm barely 36 myself, so I still feel like there's a lot of time, and that's another subject that I want to talk to you guys about later. That time is an illusion. I'm not alone on this. It's a construct that time doesn't exist. Whether you've gone 5 days, 5 months, 5 years without smoking marijuana, it doesn't matter, because as you're living in the present moment, you are practicing a lot of self-control, a lot of self-discipline, a lot of integrity. Like I said, it doesn't matter 1 hour without marijuana, 5 days, 10 years, whatever. As you're living in the present moment, if you're not consuming the marijuana, that's all that matters, but that's another subject I want to get into. This is the second video that I make, and I'm sort of improvising, but I want to share more with you about my experiences with marijuana. It wasn't just marijuana was always one of my go-to drugs, just because it was so easily accessible, and it's changed a lot. But I've done all kinds of drugs. Nitrous oxide. I don't know if you guys ever heard of that. They come in like these little cartridges, and you need a breaker and a balloon in order to consume it. It could be very dangerous. It could be fatal. It could freeze your lungs. So I don't know if you guys want to gamble with that. So yeah, I used to do nitrous oxide. I used to sniff cocaine. I used to do ecstasy. I'd go into the mountains in Mexico to find peyote. I grew up very close to Mexico, and peyote's full of mescaline. I've even messed around with dextromethorphan, which is an opiate. I don't want to give you guys too much information, and that's another thing too that I want to talk to you about in the next video, is how you can utilize alcohol as medicine in order to help you quit. Now I know what you're thinking. How, and like I said, I'm not a doctor, guys, but whatever I can do to help you out. But right now I'm kind of using alcohol as a medicine, which sounds strange. I've never had a problem with alcohol. I eventually always get bored of alcohol. After I have a few drinks, I always come to a limit. That's just me. We're all very different, and I hadn't had any alcohol in the last 4 years. So when I quit smoking, I'll have a beer here or there, and maybe like a margarita with some tequila. But I see alcohol now more like as a tool or as a medicine. I don't really see it as an escape. And I try to never get too drunk and lose total control. And I hope I'm not misleading you and giving you guys some bad advice. It sounds kind of controversial, but yeah, alcohol can be used as a medicine if used the right way. Now, the problem with marijuana is that you may be saying, well, marijuana has its medicinal benefits as well. But see, the thing I don't understand is I've seen a lot of documentaries on the legalization of marijuana, and I still don't understand how, most drugs, before they go onto the market, they are very tested, and with marijuana these days, there's not a lot of quality control. So whether you're getting the marijuana on the street or from a dispensary, it makes no difference. Like the marijuana could have mold in it, and it's crude combustion. See, that's the problem with marijuana. And when you're smoking marijuana, it's crude combustion. Unlike alcohol, which just goes right through you. I mean, like that song, that Massive Attack song that says, no pills or pharmaceuticals, for the body isn't suitable. Stick to liquids, nitric, and yeah, the body is able to process the liquid a lot better than it is the crude combustion of smoke and, like designer drugs and things like that. It's just like smoke doesn't belong in your body. It's like, people are very funny. Like they want, they want electric cars. They don't want carbon monoxide in the air. You don't want smoke in your house. I mean, but sure enough, you put smoke in your lungs, and yeah, like the body just isn't suitable for the crude combustion of smoke. If you want to switch to edibles, I don't know. I still don't know about edibles because, like I said, for a long time I wasn't aware that the THC, the cannabis, was causing a deficiency in my potassium levels. I didn't know. And I remember back in 2018 and 2019 when I was training and I was still smoking at the same time. I'd have me a smoke after my workout. I would feel slight pains, and I was in denial. I was always like, it can't possibly be the pot that's causing this because, all my life we've been told that marijuana is natural and that, it's got medicinal properties. I've yet to see any of them. And that's another thing too. Just like I'm not a doctor, and neither are marijuana advocates. And I've actually I've actually gone out with a very famous marijuana advocate. Back in 2007, I took a trip to Baltimore with my school, and I met Sarah Snap. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of who Sarah Snap is. She's from Mexico City, and she's a big marijuana advocate. She has a famous show called Tiempo de Cannabis. It's time for cannabis. It's like a show where she just goes on and on about the positive things of marijuana and how marijuana should replace alcohol, and how like the youth everywhere instead of drinking alcohol in order to unwind, they should probably smoke a joint, which I feel like that's a huge disservice. Like I said, she's not a doctor, so I don't know why she's on TV broadcasting herself, telling people not to do something, telling people to switch one with the other. I feel like that's very dangerous, and like I said, choose who you take your advice from wisely. And I've actually reached out to Zara Snap. I don't know if she remembers me. And hey, if you're watching this now, Zara, how you doing? But I've actually reached out to her, but she's never answered back. She's made small comments on Instagram, but like I said, she's never been willing to have like a debate with me about my position. But that's okay. This is just the beginning, guys, and thanks for joining me. Thanks for sticking with me to the end of this video, and there's more to come. There's a lot of information. It's kind of late, and I have a lot to unload. I have a lot to tell you guys about, and it's gonna be a bumpy ride. Like if you're quitting for the first time, and you've been a serious smoker for years, it's gonna be a bumpy ride. But like I said, just don't give up. Stay strong. Do your research. Always do your research. Research and development. That's very important. That's very vital. And listen to your heart. Now, I know that's just a saying when people say that, listen to your heart, but I mean that literally, like, listen to your heart. Like, if you start feeling like irregularities and stuff, like, the heart is very mysterious. Like, it's hard to tell. Sometimes it might be nothing at all. Like, you might feel a heart palpitation or your heartbeat skip, and it's nothing. But other times it could be something serious, like in my case. And Best thing to do is to have an experiment. Like, if you're feeling odd, you're feeling pain in your chest or whatever, try maybe. I mean, maybe you just need a tolerance break. Try stop smoking for a while, right? Like I did. I went 6 months without it. See how you feel. If it's still going on, it might be serious. But what's funny is like there's this thing they call an addiction. It's called the purple cloud effect. Like it's basically like it's it's a phrase they use in like that drug counselors use. Like you may have gone a few months with it, 6 or 8 months, and you feel great, and you pick up the drug again, thinking that it's over, and then it just comes back. The problems that you had originally will come back, and sometimes it's just good to leave things in the past and move on and just bury it and just get it over with. I like to use the analogy of like a bad girlfriend. I see marijuana, Mary Jane, like a bad ex, like a bad girlfriend. Maybe in the beginning she was fun to be with, and it worked out back then, but it's just not working out now, and you gotta say your farewell, and you'll get over it. There's plenty of fish in the sea, but I'll let you guys go. And like I said, there's more where that came from. Good night.